Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Join the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome back for another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, it is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
So ODPH Society, let's talk some sports. You can find the social media accounts to join in that conversation on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. And kicking off this edition of the sports show is a return to sports, question mark?
Yeah, maybe.
We have been talking about this event for a while now, and as it stands, as we are recording on Tuesday, this Saturday night, live on pay-per-view from Jacksonville at the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, is UFC 249.
Mm-hmm.
The UFC is returning to regularly scheduled fighting, and they have a very, very stacked card for this, and this is going to kick off their string of fights they're having in Jacksonville. Obviously, this one is kicking off May 9th.
It's going to kick off a string of something. Just, there's a fight this weekend for now, because Lord knows what the way this saga and everything, as the UFC turns, as we like to say, has been going the last month or two. Anything can happen at this point.
Anything can, but as it stands right now, May 9th is the kickoff. Then they do another card on May 13th, and then they have one on May 16th, and they are also talking a few other cards as well. So the UFC is being very determined to get back in
they are
full
very
swing of things.
hell-bent.
They're very hell-bent, and there is definitely mixed reaction across the sports fandom about this. I know Bob Abram from the boxing world was very anti-Dana White.
Yeah, you don't exactly have to read the tea leaves for how he feels.
No, he definitely had a few choice words to say.
Yeah.
And
low colorful.
You know what? I don't really find any fault of what he's saying.
No.
Because obviously with everything going on with C-19, the sports world, and along with the rest of the world, has been turned upside down.
Yep.
Let's face it. Everybody is clamoring to get back to a sense of normalcy, and the UFC feels that they want to be the ones leading the charge by the way that Dana White has been determined to get fights going again.
Hellbent, one might even say.
Oh, absolutely. He's been mad scientist formulating the whole thing, because if he's still planning on doing the Fight Island in a location to be named in June, because he said that's when the first card is going to be, as last I've read.
He's still planning on doing it. He did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit the last week, I want to say, was on the subreddit r/MMA, and it got brought up if he was still planning on doing that, and he is.
He is determined. Like, the drive about this to get back in session, you have to look at twofold. You can really applaud it that he really wants to get things back going, but at the same token, you have to realize the current temp in the room.
Yeah.
And things are going to take time to get back in the full swing of things with everything going on. A global pandemic is a perfect reason not to rush back into things.
Yeah.
To take your time and to really make sure that your fighters, your staff, and all parties involved that are going to be in attendance for said event are going to be in the safest and healthiest position possible. Anything less than that is inexcusable and downright disgusting, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So that being said, the UFC has lined up their cards, and they're kicking off 249 from Jacksonville this week.
Yep.
They have definitely made it worth the while.
Yeah, they've stacked this a little bit. I mean, I'm just looking at the names. Good Lord.
Well, Pat, let's give a quick breakdown of the card, shall we?
Sure. So, I mean, we normally don't talk the early prelim cards, but good Lord, there's some names on this. One matchup you have on the early prelim card, which is on ESPN Plus, is a welterweight division matchup between Vicente Luque and Nico Price.
Nico follows the show. What up, Nico?
Yeah, just absolutely insane that, normally, I don't think we've really looked at early prelim cards since maybe UFC 200.
No, with everything going on, Dana has really, and the matchmaking team of the UFC have really made a point to stack this with fights that were previously canceled from other cards.
Right.
Because we haven't had one since the Brazil card.
Right, which has been a while.
It's been a while. It's been some weeks. We documented about that last week. So they've been really trying to make sure that fighters are getting on cards, and really they're trying to make it worth the fans' money. So obviously, looking at that prelim card, it's absolutely insane for just the early prelims.
Yeah.
Then you start dipping into the regular prelims.
Yeah. So then you get the regular prelim cards, which looks like it will lead off with a middleweight division matchup between Uriah Hall and Jacare Souza. Then that's opening the prelims.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And just to see, like, for the prelims, I know it's going to definitely want to get people hyped up about this. But looking at the rest of that card you have on the prelims, Carlos Esparza versus Michelle Watterson.
Mm-hmm.
Fabio Verdum is coming back.
Yep.
Against Alexei Olenek.
Mm-hmm.
And then the main event for the prelim card.
Any other scenario, this should main event any card. Like, I don't care if it's UFC on ESPN, UFC on ESPN Plus, or UFC insert number here. Like, this should normally headline a card.
It would be definitely a co-main event, I think, at this stage, but in the years past, this would definitely lit it up. Anthony Showtime Pettis going up to welterweight to fight the one and only Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Good Lord.
Now let us jump into the main event. Like, it's crazy about like how we're even dived into the main card.
Yeah. Leading off the main card, you have a heavyweight division matchup between Greg Hardy, yes, that Greg Hardy, and Jorgen De Castro.
Next.
You've got a, almost said flyweight, featherweight division matchup between Jeremy Stevens and Calvin Kattar.
Now that one is going to be a sleeper on this card. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Stevens has one of the heaviest hands in all the division. Kattar is no joke either.
Mm-hmm. No, it's going to be absolutely insane. Next matchup, we potentially might have someone's soul leaving their body again in a heavyweight matchup between Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And I apologize if I messed up that name.
Right. No, that one has definitely got future title contender implications going on all over that.
Someone's getting knocked out in that one.
Yeah, somebody's getting knocked out. I don't see that one going to the third round.
Nope. After that, you have in the co-main event, you have for the UFC Bantamweight Championship, you have champion Henry Cejudo taking on Dominic Cruz.
Definitely a little bit of a storyline with this one.
A little bit.
Well, Cejudo has not really fought in a while. Obviously, moving up to bantamweight, he relinquished the flyweight title. Mm-hmm. And who has been the next contender has been kind of a little bit of a carousel.
Yeah.
We had Jose Aldo penciled in at one point.
Right.
Obviously, due to C-19 travel restrictions, that is not happening.
Right.
Dominic Cruz, the longtime king of the bantamweights, is now returning. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping he's at 100% because he's had an unfortunate history of knee injuries that have kept him sidelined for a good portion of the prime of his career.
So Dominic Cruz's last fight was a unanimous decision loss to Cody Garbrandt back at UFC 207 in December of 2016.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
insane.
I'd be honest, I didn't realize it'd been that long.
No, because
I realized he's been gone. Like, I realized he hasn't fought in recently, but I just hadn't realized how long it'd been.
And that's the one tragedy of this. I mean, it's just one of those. Love him or hate him, Cruz has always been a contender.
Yeah,
has arguably at one point the best footwork in all of MMA. Mm-hmm. So you can't take that away from him.
Oh yeah.
So to see what he has at this stage is going to be anybody's guess, and then we get to the main event.
Yeah, the main event you've got for the interim UFC lightweight championship: Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje.
I'm going to save the preview for this because we're going to break down each fight and give you our picks in a second. But, Pad, looking at this card, and I guess this is what I'm going to ask the ODPH Society. Looking at this card right now, as it stands, are you planning on getting this, or do you think there's going to be a big turnout to get this on Saturday night?
I think there's going to be a big turnout to get this fight Saturday night just because fans want something to watch. And I'm not just limiting that to UFC fans. I'm saying that for sports fans. Mm-hmm. You look at how the ratings came out for night one of the NFL draft. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And just how they had monster numbers. Fans want something to see. As good as it is to watch some of these older games and some of these great older matchups and stuff like that, you want something new. You want something you don't know what the end is. As fun as it was for me to watch the Game 7 of the 03 ALCS with the Yankees and Red Sox and Aaron Boone hit that walk-off in the 11th inning, I knew what was going to happen for like a few hours. Like, no mystery held. I think a lot of people are going to end up buying this card just because they're clamoring for something new.
I think this is going to be a benchmark to see where the public is about returning to normal fight schedules and a return to sports. I think you touched upon a great point with the NFL draft this past week. The ratings were through the roof. Absolutely insane. Yeah. And that was just for the NFL.
Yeah.
Granted, the NFL is bigger than the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest about it. It's the second biggest sport in the world behind soccer, I would say.
Oh, yeah. No, it is.
I think that's an honest statement. So the UFC, though, obviously has a big worldwide reach, too, and it's growing every month when they have cards. So you can't say that fan base isn't going to be there. But I think it's going to be very, very telling to see what the turnout is, because for many places, like what we do with our friends over at Three Fat Nerds, we always have watch parties.
Yeah.
At Dragon Masters. So it's like, where do we go now, and where do we see this, and is the crowd going to turn out? Because obviously with social distancing and everything going on with that, how is the buy rates going to be? Mm-hmm. I feel that there is going to be a spike too.
Could be.
I think that it's going to have a very good number.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to eclipse any Conor McGregor or Brock Lesnar numbers.
No, I don't think it will.
It'll be close. I really, truly feel it will be close. Because what the UFC has done that has been very smart is to say, we're having a return fight. This is such a big event. We need to come with the most stacked card we physically can.
Mm-hmm.
They have done an excellent job with this, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just break down the card now. I mean, this is why we're going to just give you fight by fight and give you our predictions and see where we go from here. So, Pad, let's kick us off.
All right, so where do you want to start? You want to start with the prelims?
Because I mean, the early prelims were saying Nico's taking this.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get to the regular prelims.
So at the regular prelims, you got the middleweight matchup between Uriah Hall and then Jacare Souza.
Now, this one is very interesting for a lot of different reasons. Uriah Hall was, at one point, the biggest, next big thing, you could say, the biggest phenom coming out of the Ultimate Fighter, and for various reasons, just didn't put it together.
Yeah, no, it has a professional record of 24 matches, and he's got 15 wins and 9 losses.
Right. I mean, he has all the talent in the world, just sometimes when he gets in the cage, it just doesn't all add up.
Mm-hmm.
Jacare, one of the scariest jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. I've said this once, and I'll say this again. If he takes you down to the mat, you are in for a very, very long night, and you probably will not survive. So this fight at this stage, though, because Souza is on the back end of the careers, Uriah Hall, I mean, we'll see where he winds up. I am going to say I'm going to take Uriah Hall in an upset.
Yeah, no, I'm going with the same thing. I mean, just looking at their records here, you've got Uriah Hall on a 2-fight win streak, defeating the likes of Bevan Lewis at UFC 232, and then Antonio Carlos Jr. At a UFC Fight Night in September of last year. And on the flip side, you've got Jacare Souza, who's on a 2-fight lose streak, losing by unanimous decision to Jack Hermason at a UFC Fight Night in April of 2019, and then losing to Jan Blachowicz by a split decision at a UFC Fight Night in November of last year. But and like you said, Jacare, back of in his career, I just don't think he's going to be able to beat Uriah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very close fight. I just think, though, if Uriah does not work on takedown defense and gets taken down, I'm sorry, there's 2 fighters I always say, if they take you down, well, technically 3, but Khabib is on a whole different level of his grappling. Yeah. I always say, if Damian Maia or Jacare take you down, you're done, and you don't get back up. So if Hall can keep it on the feet, he's going to win this one.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be very close. Very close. Yeah. But I say this by split decision.
Then we've got the women's strawweight matchup between Carla Esparza and Michelle Waterson.
I really like this fight.
Yeah, this should be good.
I really do. I'm excited for it. Esparza has always been a tough competitor in the cage. Michelle Waterson definitely is no joke in her own right. I'm going to say Waterson in this one.
I mean, I'm just looking. You've got Esparza, who in 21 professional fights has a 15-6 record. And on the flip side, for Michelle Waterson, in 24 matches, she has a record of 17-7. I'm going to go decision on this one and say it's going to be Esparza, just because I'm looking at her record, and not even just wins and losses, just like rounds and times. She hasn't had a fight not go the distance since she got knocked out by Joanna Jędrzejczyk at UFC 185 in March of 2015. Yeah. Every other fight she's had has gone the distance or near the distance. So I'm going to say it's going to be Carla Esparza in a decision.
Well, Esparza likes to grapple, so I mean that's why I wouldn't say she's necessarily a knockout artist. So I think that has to do with it. But if you're going against Jędrzejczyk, I mean, there's no shame of being knocked out by Jędrzejczyk.
Oh God, no.
As you touched upon. So I think this one, like I say, it's going to be a fun one for the prelims, and I really like the matchup. And like I say, I could definitely see Esparza winning, but I think Waterson is going to pull this one out. I think it's going to be close, though. I agree with this split.
Yep. Then you've got the heavyweight matchup between Alexei Olnik and Fabricio Verdum.
Verdum is returning.
Yeah.
This has been, I believe he was suspended for
something like that. His last fight, I'll look that up in a minute, but according to his record on Wikipedia here, his last fight was a loss to Alexander Volkov, where he got knocked out, and that was at a UFC Fight Night in March of 2018.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he's come off suspension for PEDs.
Yeah, here it is. Verdum was expected to face Alexei Olnik on the 15th of September 2018 at UFC Fight Night 136. However, on the 22nd of May, Verdum was flagged for a potential USADA doping violation. In September 2018, it was revealed that the substance in question was trenbolone. And as a result, he was suspended from competition for 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I remember. It was a PED suspension. So Verdum, though, is no joke in his own right.
Nope.
Great jiu-jitsu. Great overall. I mean, he's got all the tools, and he can definitely hang and bang. Olnik, no joke in his own right. However, though, I'm going to say Verdum is going to take this one.
Yeah, I'm saying, good Lord, I just looked at Olnik's record. Oh, my Jesus. 72 matches in his professional career, 58 wins and 13 losses. He's got 46 wins by submission. Good Lord.
There's a lot of tread on those tires.
There's a lot of tread on those tires, and with that being said, I'm going to go with Fabricio on this one.
That's why I say this one's going to wind up. I mean, Olenek is definitely on the other end of the career. So Verdum, though, to see him come back, I don't think there's going to be any octagon jitters. I think it's going to be he wants to make a quick statement and get back into the heavyweight title fight.
Yep. And then we've got kind of the creme de la creme of the prelim card, Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Anthony Showtime Pettis.
Well, this one shall be a fun one for us, the fans.
Uh-huh.
Anthony Showtime Pettis always shows up. He is a personal favorite of mine, so I have been watching him since the WEC days. He is no joke. I mean, Pat, you can look through his record of fights, and I believe him and Mr. Cerrone have danced once.
Yeah, give me a second to look through. Yep, they fought back in UFC on Fox card back in January of 2013, where he KO'd Cerrone via a kick to the body.
Right. So Pettis is known for his striking. Pettis will stay in there. I mean, Pettis has fought everybody and anybody in that lightweight.
He beat Stevens, Lozon, and Cerrone, and then Henderson, and then Melendez in a row.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Well, at one point, we're talking a former lightweight champion, and he was going to be the next guy, too. I mean, until he ran into, I believe it was Rafael Dos Anjos and gave him, he got that concussion that first round and never really got back on track.
No, yeah, that was after that streak of wins I mentioned. He did lose to Rafael Dos Anjos at UFC 185 via unanimous decision.
Yeah. And, I mean, he hung in there and took a hell of a beating, though. But I remember he got concussed that first round because he never looked right the same. And Pettis has kind of been on a little bit journey back and forth, dipping in the featherweight and stepping up to welterweight. So now I don't want to say he's at the journeyman point of the career, but I think that's a very fair statement to make. So I'm going to say he is there. And to flip the coin, Donald Cerrone. I mean, what else can you say about the future Hall of Famer? Yeah. Anytime, anyplace, anywhere. He is coming back from the loss to Conor McGregor from the shoulder shot that knocked him out. I mean, it is a legit shot. I know. I was reading online. People thought he faked that.
No.
I could not believe that when I read that. I was like,
you're saying he faked that. You don't know Cerrone very well.
Exactly. There's no chance that was a fake or a dive. He took a legit shoulder shot that he was not ready for. And let's face it, we all love Donald Cerrone. He is not exactly a spring chicken in the sport.
No.
And there is a certain point where fighters start losing their chin.
I'll say he's 37 years old, and now while you say, 37, that's not that old. He's got 51 professional. And note I say professional fights under his record. That's not accounting for anything that's like semi-pro or like not professional.
So that being said, I'm not saying Cerrone is done. But one thing I will be very focused on during this fight is how well his chin holds up to shots.
Yeah.
Because
his last 3 losses are all TKOs.
Right.
First one was a doctor stoppage against Tony Ferguson. Of course, that was the blow in the nose incident.
Yep.
Then it was a TKO from Justin Gaethje. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the TKO from Conor McGregor.
Right. And to go through wars with those gentlemen, because Ferguson, that was a fight. Like, you want to talk about a fight. That was a real fight.
Yeah.
Gaethje, there's only one direction he goes, and we'll talk about this during our preview of his fight, is forward. And he is probably the closest to a walking rock'em sock'em robot you'll ever see.
Pretty much.
So Cerrone has been through wars with many, many fighters. That being said, I'm going to take Pettis.
Yeah.
I don't say it's going to be a first-round knockout.
No.
But I think Cerrone's going to get stopped. I just feel at this stage in his career, that the chin is slowly starting to fade.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in saying it, but when you get rocked by that shoulder shot that McGregor gave, it was a very tough shot, but was it one that you feel that you got knocked out by? And granted, I know I'm playing armchair fighter here, but watching it and just going in my head, you went through a war with Ferguson. Gaethje rocked your world.
Yeah.
We can go back further through your timeline if we really want to deep dive into it. To really get rocked by a shoulder shot at this age, it's not a insult, but it was something that the only thing I can compare it to is when Chuck Liddell started losing his chin.
Yeah.
And then when the final blow came, when he got knocked out by a broken arm by Rich Franklin. Let me repeat that. A broken arm
And
knocked
for those
him
of
out.
you who aren't doctors, you can't hit as hard with a broken arm as you could have healed one.
Right. So I fear that that's going to be the way of Cerrone right now.
Yeah.
So I am taking Pettis. I'm going to say in the second round stoppage. It'll still be a fun fight. Cerrone might prove me wrong, and just for fighter's sake, I hope he does. I'm not wishing anything bad on him by any means.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at this going, you're 37 years old, the wear and tear that your body has taken through the wars that you have been in, and you can go Wikipedia, Google, UFC search the names he has fought, and I mean names.
Oh, yeah. His so I'm just looking through his Wikipedia page. His first professional MMA record was in February of 2006. Now you flip over, he's got a record in Muay Thai. Muay Thai record.
Muay Thai
record here. His earliest fight in that is dated February of 2005. And then you flip over to that, he's even got one boxing match under his belt where he fought a gentleman and lost in November of 2003.
Right, so you're talking about a 20-year career of professional fighting.
Yeah.
So let that sink in. And this is also the legend that is anytime, any place, anywhere, who will jump in and fight at a week's notice.
Not even a week's, like a day's notice.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy that used to go to fights at a certain weight just if he needed to fill in.
This is the guy that when one of the Diaz brothers, I forget which one it was getting ready to fight Anderson Silva in Brazil and hadn't shown up to Brazil yet, and nobody knew where he was. Rumor had it Cerrone was walking around Brazil at weight and ready to go if need be.
Yeah, I mean, he is a legend in the sport, so you can't take anything away from him about that.
No.
It's just a matter of, at this stage in the career,
Father time
catches up with you, and especially in the fight game, the chin starts to fade, and once that goes, it's a wrap.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be Anthony Pettis. Nothing against Cerrone, like everything you said. Storied career, Hall of Fame career, legendary career, go down as one of the greats. But he's got more miles in the fight game behind him than I think he has ahead of him. And, just do a little comparison. There's a trailer that dropped today for the WWE Network special about Undertaker. And there's something in there. I can't remember. I think it might have been Edge or Shawn Michaels that said, you never really know when the end's going to be until you're there.
Right.
And I think the same can be said for Donald Cerrone. I don't think he's got many more fights in front of him, and I think we might be at the end. I don't wish ill on the guy. I don't wish to see him get knocked out or have something happen like a Chuck Liddell. Go out on your own terms and what have you, but I just think you look at the record and you look at what he's been, you look at his past history and kind of how he's lost, where it's been, or occasional TKO, maybe a unanimous decision, maybe a submission here or there. But now it's just, his last three fights, all very early in main event situations. I think it's going to be showtime.
I definitely think so too. So that being said, I mean, the prelims are all set. Let's jump to the main event or main card.
Yeah,
because you could say any one of these fights could be a main event, except for the one that we're going to kick off with. That's Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. I am taking De Castro in this.
Yep.
If the other gentleman wins, you got to give him somebody in the top 10.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't even necessarily agree with that, just because he's got 8 matches, 5-2 record. His last fight was a loss to Alexander Volkov in November of last year. Then it was a no contest against Ben Sassoli in October of last year. So it's like, okay, you really haven't beaten anybody since, you beat Juan Adams at UFC on ESPN in July of 2019. So, okay, congratulations. You've beaten a couple of guys.
Well, I know that he has been running through the competition they've thrown at him.
Sure.
With the exception of the no contest.
Yeah. The no contest was originally a unanimous decision for Hardy, but was overturned after he used an inhaler between rounds.
Yes. So that being said, like I said, if he gets past this and they start talking the hype train behind him again, give him somebody in the low top 10, top 10, 15. Just give it to him and see what he's got. Because for the ones that you've given him thus far, I'm saying they've been handed to him.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely have, because I'm looking at, so you'll just look at his record on Wikipedia, and usually most people have links to their fight pages. Out of the 8 folks he's fought, 1, 2, 3, half of them have pages. Austin Lane, who was his first professional fight on Dana White's Contender Series, has a page. His next 1, 2, 3 fighters don't have a page, so I can't even tell what their record is without doing some digging. So to me, he's been handed guys.
Yeah, he's been handed guys since he came from the Contender. Mm-hmm. So if he's supposed to be the quote-unquote real deal, give him some real competition.
Yeah, because his one fight against Dmitry Somolkov, however you say that, who Greg beat on April of 2019 at a UFC fight night, who he knocked out, he did a couple UFC fights, never anybody major, and then got kicked out of UFC.
Yeah, so like I say, give him some real competition. I was going to say, had I not seen Junior Dos Santos walking around almost at 205, yeah, there's an Instagram picture going around right now that he's been really cutting weight. I don't know if he's doing the Coach Duffy Keto diet.
That's terrifying.
It's something, yeah. If he can get down to 205, I'd be frightened.
Yeah.
But I would say give him somebody in that kind of realm. Like, give him a really big name that will stand there and really give him a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping DeCastro does something to really warrant this, because this is just another handpicked fight to elevate Hardy's status.
I think it is, because DeCastro doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, like I said, I really want to see him get tested.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not the biggest fan of him, so
nope.
We'll just leave it at that. Next fight.
After that, you've got the featherweight matchup between Jeremy Stevens and Calvin Kattar.
All right, now, like I said, this one is going to be a fun one. Kattar has been a very underrated fighter. He's definitely a game fighter for the featherweight division. Jeremy Stevens has been close, but no cigar so many times. And
always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
I hate saying it too, but it's a fact. The guy can throw hands like nobody else in that division.
He's got out of 46 professional matches in MMA. He's got 28 wins, 17 losses. 19 wins are by knockout.
Exactly.
Oof.
So you know what you're getting with Stevens. He's another one like Cerrone, though, that he has been in there for quite a long time. I think he's in I want to say the top 5 of most consecutive fights in the UFC.
Yeah, probably
for that stat.
Probably
he's in there. Like, he's been fighting forever in the UFC, whether it's been lightweight or featherweight. So for him in featherweight, he's got to make a run, and he's got to make a run now. I know last time he is coming off a loss, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, couple of losses here. He lost his last fight was a unanimous decision loss to Yair Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. That was in October of 2019, and then it was a no contest against Yair Rodriguez. Prior to that, in September of 2019,
that's right. That was
the Ipoka Doom, and then before that was a unanimous decision loss to Zabit. In UFC 235 in March of last year, and then before that was a TKO loss to Jose Aldo in July of 2018.
So the Rodriguez fight, though, was a very close one.
Mm-hmm.
But Rodriguez he definitely showed up for that one. That was the thing that he turned on the second gear, if memory serves me right. So for Stevens, it's now or never.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put it together. I do like him in this fight, though, so I'm going to take him by split decision.
Sure.
If it doesn't happen here, man, I don't know what the future holds for him.
Yeah.
It's almost like when the Conor McGregor comment was like, "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
at the infamous press conference of Soundbites.
Oh yeah.
So Steven's got to make that win. He's got to win. This is now or never for him.
I'm going to say Calvin on a shocker. I mean, I'm just looking at it here. He's got 24 professional matches in his record and 20 wins and 4 losses. His last fight was a loss to Zabit by unanimous decision at a UFC fight night in November of last year. Before that, he had back-to-back wins against Ricardo Lamas, who he knocked out at UFC 238 in June of last year. And then he also beat Chris Fishgold via TKO at a UFC fight night in October of 2018. And then he had a loss against Renato Moicano by unanimous decision in April of 2018, and before that, his 2 previous UFC fights were both wins. I'm going to say, just because Stevens, he's got a little tread on the tires, he's a few miles behind him. You know, you look at Calvin Kattar, a little bit of an up-and-comer. He's got something to prove, nothing to lose. I'm saying wouldn't be surprised if there's a shocking upset here.
Definitely not ruling out a thumb. I mean, to lose his last fight, he lost to Zabit. No shame in that. Zabit's going to be fighting for the title
Zabit
within the next year.
Yeah, Calvin's last fight, Zabit, I should mention, won fight of the night.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a good fight. It's going to be solid, like I say. For Stevens, though, I think there's going to be the more motivation. But I'm not down Qatar pulling something out, too. Like, this one, I think will go split. I
should note, he went toe-to-toe with Zabit for the full distance, 3 5-minute rounds in Russia.
Yeah.
Oof.
No joke.
Nope. Absolutely not. After that, you've got the heavyweight matchup between Francis Ngannou and then Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And again, apologize if I messed that name up.
Well, this one is going to be for title consideration for whoever is going to face the winner of Miocic versus Cormier down the road.
This fight is for whoever wants to get their soul claimed.
Yeah, both guys throw heavy hands, but Francis Ngannou, just look at the highlight knockout he did on Alistair Overeem, where you literally saw a soul leave a body.
Yep.
Try saying that 3 times fast. I can't. Every time I see that fight, I cringe because just how Ngannou hit him with so much force, you see his neck snap. I literally thought he broke his neck. That's how hard Ngannou hits.
Yeah.
Now, Ngannou has been at the top of the mountain before. Definitely was exposed for not having wrestling.
It's like beating a who's who in the heavyweight division. I mean, beating Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, Curtis Blades, Alistair Overeem, Andrei Arlovsky, Curtis Blades again. You know, you just look at the names and good Lord.
Right. The only one he's had problems with is Miocic.
Yep. Lost to Stipe Miocic via unanimous decision in January of 2018. That was for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. And then lost his next fight against Derek Lewis via unanimous decision at UFC 226 in July of 2018.
And that fight was absolutely garbage, too. Just because they wouldn't throw hands.
That was the ball. Oh, that's right. That was the ballroom dance.
Yep, that was the ballroom dance.
Oh, God, that was awful.
That was such a horrific fight. So Ngannou has finally got back on track. Rozenstruik, he has been a very quiet fighter.
10-0 in his professional record.
Sneaking up there. Oof. So this is a real test for him.
So he got in the UFC, he's got a 10-0 record. He's got 4 fights. 4 of those are in the UFC. Notably, last 2 fights, knocked out Andrei Arlovsky. 29 seconds into the first round at UFC 244. That was back in November. And then knocked out Alistair Overeem. That was right at the end of the 5th round at a UFC on ESPN in December of last year.
So that being said, Pat, who you got?
Oh, the fans. In all honesty, I think it's going to end up being Ngannou.
I think it's going to be Ngannou, too. Nothing on Rozenstruik. I think Ngannou is more hungry right now, and I think that he knows that against a top-level striker, he's got to win by knockout.
Yeah, and I think he's got a little added motivation to it, too, just because you remember he had that rocket strapped to him. Deservedly so.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's rising through the ranks, and he's knocking guys out, and he's winning fights, and then he had those back-to-back bad losses. And I think part of that chip is still on his shoulder where, the casual fans might not know and might not care, but the diehard fans and the fans he sees online are still going, you're good, but you still got those 2 bad losses on your record. And I think he wants to prove people that those were just a bump in the road.
And that's why I say I think he's going to come out a little more chip because Rozenstruik is a very skilled fighter.
Oh, yeah.
But he's in the same vein of Derek Lewis of just, what you're getting. You're getting hands. So you don't have to worry about really a takedown. We haven't seen too much of Rozenstruik do that, to my opinion. So for Ngannou, he's got to win. He's got to win decisively, and he has to make a statement win because as we are recording, there has been some more back and forth chatter between Miocic and Cormier.
Okay.
That they want to fight in August.
Sure.
So whoever wins this fight, I can see getting penciled in to fight the winner of that one down the road, pending whatever's going to go on. Because I like right now they're just kind of going back and forth about who wants a camp. And,
Sure.
And I know Miocic is firefighting in Cleveland right now.
Yep.
Being a first responder. So that being said,
it's like you said though. I'm looking at Rozenstruik's record here. He is very much a one-trick pony. Like I said, 10-0, 9 wins by knockout, 1 by decision.
Yeah. So
so no lay and pray.
Yeah. So you know what you're going to get out of this one. So for his sake, he's really got to make a statement fight. If he can get that win, I'm not saying he's going to get penciled in for number one contender, but it's a
He'll be in the conversation.
He has a hard argument not to make for it. And for Ngannou, he needs this fight to stay relevant, and he needs a decisive win.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But, yeah, hopefully this is not a snooze fest because if it's ballroom dancing, we're going to light up Twitter.
Woof. After that, you've got the co-main event for the Bantamweight Championship between champion Henry Cejudo taking on Dominic Cruz.
Cejudo, the champ who suddenly developed an ego overnight by winning a split decision over Demetrius Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make that point known for how Cejudo has been anointing himself champ and really trying his best to be Conor McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying it.
No.
Because you won a close fight against Demetrius Johnson. Congratulations. DJ never got his rematch.
No, and that was the second matchup between the two. DJ knocked his ass out in the first round back at UFC 197 in April of 2016.
Exactly. So for the amount of trash that he has been talking, I applaud him because he's now made himself into a relevant star. Congratulations. But you have now painted a very big bullseye on your back. That you're
don't talk, don't write checks your butt can't cash.
And you have called out many, many names, and I agree with you, Pat, because he has definitely written some checks, and somebody is going to cash in on him. This fight has been a very difficult road to make, but for Dominic Cruz to come back and to see the king of the bantamweights come back and fight is truly remarkable. I mean, we've talked about it. He has blown his knees out both times.
Yeah.
He's had lengthy layoffs.
Yeah.
The last fight, when he came back, I know he lost TJ Dillashaw, I believe.
No, so he had a fairly regular string of fights up until it looks like October of 2011, where he beat Demetrius Johnson via unanimous decision. After that, his next fight wasn't until UFC 178 in 2014. After that, it wasn't until he beat TJ Dillashaw by a split decision in January of 2016, and then he beat Uriah Faber by unanimous decision in 2016, and then lost in his last matchup to Cody Garbrandt by unanimous decision in December of 2016.
See, I always forget because Team Alpha Male and Dominic Cruz, you could almost like swap in different names of who Cruz has ran through.
Yeah.
And obviously, when TJ Dillashaw left that camp, he got a lot better. Mm-hmm. So I always was thinking that like that fight was supposed to happen again. But I know when Cruz won, coming off that loss against Garbrandt, and obviously the Team Alpha fails, as he calls them.
Yeah.
Cruz has been relatively quiet. He's been doing a great job on commentary, though.
Oh, yeah. No, he's great on commentary.
Yeah, so to see him come back in any kind of condition, I'm excited to see. I'm really intrigued where his footwork is going to be because the one thing about Cruz's fights, which you'll get a lot of various reactions from the MMA fans.
Sure.
He fights a certain style that some will say is boring. Others will say is so advanced and technical because his footwork, you can't lay a hand on him.
Right.
And he sticks and moves for 25 minutes and doesn't lose a beat. It's along the same lines, I would say, of a lay and pray by GSP.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Like he knows he can beat you and is just toying around with you.
Mm-hmm.
And albeit, though, when he came back from the first major knee surgery he had, and I believe he beat Mazasaki there.
Yes.
He did it decisively. Like, he came in with a vengeance. And
it was 1 minute and 1 second into the first round.
Yeah, he was not messing around, and he wanted to make sure that fellow fighters and fans knew he was back. He needs to come out with that kind of aggression in this one. Because Cejudo, you know what the game plan is going to be. Press you up, Olympic wrestler, and just wear you down. That's what he's coming with.
Yeah.
So can Cruz stay on the defense enough to make offense? That's the question. So that being said, I am taking Ngannou Dominic Cruz in the biggest comeback story in MMA history.
Oh, yeah.
Or one of them, anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I think Cruz has got a lot to prove. I think he's got a big chip on his shoulder. I think he's been listening to people for 4 years, doubt him and kind of cast some shade on him. And maybe in some instances that might be deservedly so. But I think he's got all the motivation in the world to come out, like a rocket strapped to him and just knock out Cejudo.
And I know there's been a very vocal group online complaining that Cruz got the title shot. Mm-hmm. Let me break something down very quickly to just kind of elaborate on that. Yes, the bantamweight division has other contenders that could jump in, but if Dana White wants to generate super fights, who is a bigger name right now than Cruz that casual fans are going to know not named Jose Aldo, not named Uriah Faber, not named TJ Dillashaw, not named Cody Garbrandt. That is my answer to that. Cruz is a name. Pat, unless you got a different name.
No, Cruz is the only one I can think of that even casuals will know, just because, like you said, he's been on commentary.
Yeah, so fans will know him, and that's why he's getting the title shot. So you can either hate it or agree with it, but that's why he's getting the shot. And he has a very, very good chance, in my opinion, being Cejudo. And then it's going to get interesting after that. Very, very interesting. Now to the main event.
Yep, you've got for the interim lightweight championship, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje.
Ped, we often talk about don't blink. We often talk about slobber knockers if we're talking pro wrestling, like Jim Ross would say.
Yes.
This fight could be the most violent fight in MMA history.
It's going to get nasty.
I am not exaggerating about this. To look at both gentlemen's track records, Tony Ferguson is a nonstop move forward, elbows, kicks, punch, just machine. And you can go through various fights. I believe he's on a 10-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken.
His last loss was to Michael Johnson via unanimous decision at UFC on Fox, Diaz versus Miller, on May 5th, 2012.
Right.
Good Lord.
He has been a totally different fighter since that fight. He has left a trail of blood and broken bones throughout that division.
I'm saying, and during that time, he's had 2 fights. Count them. 2 go to decision.
Yes. That is how he has elevated his game. And this is why when it was originally announced that him and Khabib were going to fight, they've tried making this fight 5 times.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that fight is cursed. We
got to find that like witch doctor and just take care of him. Good Lord.
Whoever has put that curse on this fight, please stop, because we need to see that fight at some point. But to flip the coin, Justin Gaethje has been long overdue for a title shot, in my opinion. I know that when Conor McGregor has come into the picture, Gaethje gets pushed to the backside, which makes no damn sense to me. None. Gaethje has been an absolute beast.
So he's a monster, and he's got 23 professional fights, 21-2 record, was on an 18-fight win streak in his professional career before his first loss, where Eddie Alvarez knocked him out with a knee in the 3rd round at UFC 218 in December of 2017. Think about that. Making your professional debut way back in August of 2011 and winning your first 18 fights in a row. That's insane.
Oh, it's absolutely bonkers. If you really want to put it into perspective.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And for when Gaethje came over, too, because he has not always been in the UFC.
No, his first UFC fight was against Michael Johnson, and that was in July of 2017. Prior to that, he was in the World Series of Fighting for a number of years, and then a couple of other smaller promotions.
And with that being said, Gaethje is just straightforward, rock'em sock'em. He is the epitome of it. He does not quit. If you just want to see just wars of attrition, you hear that term get thrown around so much in combat sports, this is the guy that does it.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a guy that he does not care who you put in front of him. He just goes forward. And you take a look at the names he has fought.
Oh, yeah.
He's fought Cerrone. He's fought Eddie Alvarez. He has just been on a absolute tear in the UFC since he's gotten here. And like I said, his first fight against Michael Johnson was just just sheer brutality. Gaethje has very underrated wrestling. And this is why I've talked to Common Man Vince Iatoli from Crow's Nest MMA here locally about it. Gaethje has been always his guy to say he's going to be the one to beat Khabib. I'm hard-pressed not to say yes. But this fight will finally give us who is definitively going to face Khabib in August, I believe, is when their timeline in this fight, pending medical suspensions.
Right.
Which I guarantee you somebody's getting one out of this.
Yeah, there's no way they're making it out of this unscathed.
So, Pad, the $1 million question, who you got?
I'm going to say Ferguson. I think he's got, like I've said a couple times, he's got all the motivation in the world. I think he wants to fight Khabib as much as we want him to fight Khabib. I also want to factor in he's been in camp and at weight for like over a month now. Like originally, let's not forget, the card was originally supposed to take place like 2-3 weeks ago. he made weight. He hasn't stopped training. He's still at weight. There was no lull in his training where he kind of took a few days off, ate some pizzas, ate some popcorn, what have you. No, he's kept going. This man has been at camp for Lord knows how long. And I think he's going to be able to do it and beat Gaethje. That's nothing against Gaethje. Gaethje's an absolute beast. But I just think you look at the time and you look at the track record and the names Ferguson's beat: Cerrone, Pettis, Dos Anjos, Edson Barbosa, Josh Thompson. It's a who's who of fighters.
This one, man, looking at this, I'm just hoping we get to Saturday and everybody's still fighting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Gaethje 21-2, Ferguson 26-3. The lineage is there. And even going by the good old stat breakdowns that they have on UFC.com, I laugh that they have takedown accuracy for Tony Ferguson's 42%. They have 0 for Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
Takedown average, 0 for Justin Gaethje. And submission average, 0 for Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
So, but he has an 80% defense for takedowns. So, this being said, I am taking Justin Gaethje in the upset.
Okay.
Listen, if Ferguson wins, I'm not going to be mad. I just sense that Gaethje is going to stay in the pocket. Ferguson's going to throw him everything he's got, literally. And Gaethje will still come forward. Gaethje will not get knocked out easy. I'm not saying Ferguson's going to get knocked out, but I just have this sense that Gaethje will sit there and absorb everything and win the late rounds. This could be a split decision. This is not going to be a unanimous decision. Gaethje for the upset, and then we get that dream fight. As much as I want to see Ferguson versus Khabib, we get Gaethje Khabib later this year. UFC 249 is going down this Saturday night on ESPN Plus in the States. Check your local listings if you're watching internationally. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What is your thoughts on UFC 249? We definitely want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Can you imagine a world immune to all forms of cancer?
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for our 4th annual live stream for the cure.
And this year, we need your help more than ever.
Please join us May 27th through May 31st for 48 hours of live content from guests and podcasts around the world.
We'll be aiming for our most ambitious goal to date as we try to raise $10,000 for the Cancer Research Institute.
Please visit www.livestreamforthecure.com for more information on this year's event and how you can be a part of it. Together, we can make a difference.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Citoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves you see. It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward and no steps back. We knew right where we'd be.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and the UFC is not the only event going on this weekend.
Nope.
The WWE is having their annual Money in the Bank pay-per-view going down this coming Sunday live on the WWE Network. It is the big, dare I say, prelude for how the rest of the year is going to go after WrestleMania.
It's a prelude for the rest of the year and also the night where somebody gets determined to carry a briefcase for the next, 9 to 12 months.
Right, because the winners of the main events get a determined by their discretion title shot.
Anytime, anywhere, any place.
Yep, throughout the calendar year. So this has led to some great storylines going through the various years when Edge cashed in on John Cena to win it. That was a magical moment, his first time he won his world title.
Ziggler at the Raw after Mania.
Yep, I was in attendance for that.
Yeah, I also remember very fondly all the antics and hilarity Seth Rollins had it when he and Dean Ambrose were feuding.
Yes.
Especially when Dean stole it for that one night, gave it back to Seth, opened it, and then some like Nickelodeon slime came spewing out of there.
Yeah, the briefcase is kind of taken on a life of its own, and everybody kind of has a little different fun with it. I know when Brock Lesnar had it, it was the Brock Party.
Oh my God, the beatbox.
Yes, so I mean they have so much various things that can go along with this that the Money in the Bank has just taken on a life of its own. That's why instead of the big 4 pay-per-views in pro wrestling, it's considered the big 5. So that being said, we are going to give our breakdown of the card. Now, we do know that this will be taking place at a couple different locations.
Yep.
WWE Performance Center, where they've been filming Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and NXT. No, NXT is still at Full Sail.
Nah, I don't know.
Oh, actually,
I think it's been at both.
Or maybe it's been at both. They've been kind of rotating a little bit. The majority of this card, though, is going to be from the Performance Center.
And from what I've been reading, the stuff that takes place at the Performance Center will be live. It will be happening as you see it. But the stuff involving the ladder matches has already been taped.
Yes, because that is going to be taking place, or has already taken place, at Titan Towers, the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut.
I can only imagine the kind of fun they're going to be having with this.
Well, if you take a look at what they've been doing lately with the Firefly Funhouse match and the Boneyard match from WrestleMania,
Yeah.
they've been borrowing the ideas from Matt Hardy about doing the Hardy compound and really implementing them to WWE programming. A lot of that has to do with Jeremy Borash, who's part of the production team now.
Right.
Who is part of Impact when they were doing the Hardy compound series.
Oh, yeah. It was very, very loved by the internet.
Yes, which it definitely is a change of pace from your traditional wrestling.
It's
show.
nice.
It's nice. I mean, I like them to do it few and far between.
Sure.
So I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it for this, because from what the rumors have been is both men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches are going to be going on at the same time,
which is going to get wild. I like that. I like that idea, just because in a normal ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcase, you've got a lot of shenanigans ensuing where I'll try to help you with this, but then I'm going to turn on you. All of a sudden, you might have a situation where you might have men and women working together, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, I got to turn on you for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much different dynamics that can go on with this, which I think it's going to be a fun match. I just hope they don't go completely overkill about this.
No, yeah.
That's what's only scaring me about this, because as much as it's cool to see, I don't want to see my weekly wrestling shows turn out like this.
Sure.
Like, don't get me wrong. The closest I can describe this as, like, if you ever watched Lucha Underground on El Rey when it was in business, they used to break away and do, like, the dramatic storyline enhancement stuff, and it was shot like a film, and then they come back to live action, and they go back and forth.
Sure.
Okay, that works for that.
Sure.
But for WWE, I know a lot of fans are more for the traditional Monday night, we'll just call it the Monday night shot, where it's just live in front of a live audience. We don't need all the theatrics. They're not too big on that. But there is a group that is big on the cinematic style. But like I say, few and far between I'm really good with. I don't need to see it.
Sure. No, yeah, I like it as sparingly as they've been using it. I wouldn't want to see it every week.
Yeah, like I don't want...
Because it'll lose the luster.
Yeah, and I just hate with Vince, if he gets really in love with it, he's going to be like, oh, that's some good shit, pal.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
If his desk doesn't get destroyed in their fight from like the ground floor to the roof of the building, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
There's going to be something completely wonky about it.
I imagine there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs in the background. There's going to be a lot of cameo appearances. Maybe a callback to their Super Bowl commercial from back in the day.
Ooh, I'd love to see that.
They're going to have some fun with it. I feel like you're not going to go to the trouble of having this match where, if I understand it right, they're going to be fighting from the ground floor all the way up to the roof of the building, which it's a fairly large building.
Yeah.
It's not New York City skyscraper big, but it's still fairly big building.
I had better hear the Donkey Kong theme, though.
Oh, God.
Somewhere in that, get remixed, because that's what it reminds me of.
I'd say maybe normally, but Nintendo can be stingy about that stuff.
Because that's what I just see. Like, I see, like, Braun Strowman throwing chairs down at people like he's not ready to get off the top there.
Can they do a situation like whatever it was with TLC, where all the stack of chairs that was stringed up in the air just got dropped? Can they do something like that?
They're going to do something really crazy for it. So it's going to be fun to watch when it comes out on Sunday. But let's give our breakdown of the card going into it, though. So, that being said, kicking off on the pre-show, I believe?
Yeah, I think so. You've got the Intercontinental Championship between champion Sami Zayn versus Drew Gulak.
I would love to see Gulak win here.
I would, too.
But Zayn... has been on a tear right now that he's healthy. He's actually got a title run. I'd like to see him get maybe some more mileage out of it before doing a belt change, but I wouldn't be mad. I think this is going to be a really fun match. So that being said, I'm taking Zayn.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say, Zayn. Just, I think, with everything going on and he finally getting a title run, give him a little bit more of a run.
Yeah, definitely want to see that. And plus, I mean, they just paired Drew Gulak with Daniel Bryan, so before they start feuding again or do the eventual break, I think they kind of have to, just have Drew be the guy that's always like in Daniel's shadow right now. Maybe that pushes him over, so I don't see that happen.
Yeah.
So Zayn for the win.
Yep, and then you've got, for the Raw Tag Team Championship, you've got the Street Profits defending their belts against the Viking Raiders.
Now this has developed a little bit of a storyline to it. Because last night on Monday Night Raw, as we were recording, the Viking Raiders defeated the Street Profits, and their whole storyline has been the Street Profits have never defeated the Viking Raiders, dating back to NXT, and they were showing the footage, and last night was no exception.
Sure.
So going into this, for this storyline, I'm really excited about, because I think both teams really get in there, and once they put away the gimmicks, because I'm sorry, I'm still traumatized by that awful Viking Raiders gimmick they did from the car where they were eating ham and singing, and it's like, no, stop. It was cringeworthy. Yeah. I just want to see them really just kind of tear it up and let them go for a little bit and see what they can do. So for my prediction, I'm saying the Street Profits finally get that big win. Yeah, no, just with everything the way they've been presenting it, where they've never beaten them, and even back to NXT, and you're showing the footage, it's like, okay, right, you're setting them up for a big win and finally get over that. Peyton Manning never beats Tom Brady in the playoffs until he finally did. I think the same's going to happen here. Yeah, so it should be a fun pre-show, and then once we get to the main show, kicking that off, you've got for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, you've got the New Day defending their belts against the Forgotten Sons, Miz and Morrison, and then Lucha House Party. Okay, where do I begin? The tag team division in SmackDown has gotten leaves a little to be desired. Well, there's no clear-cut direction of what they're doing, in my opinion. No. And one thing I really struggle with is they keep on doing the fatal four-way matches, the triple threat matches for your belts. Mm-hmm. Now it's kind of getting to the point where it's old, and it's just kind of watch, rinse, repeat. And I know that the Forgotten Sons have gotten the call-up. I've heard a lot of rumors because one of the Usos is hurt. Yes, Jimmy Uso is reportedly out for the next 6 to 9 months with a knee injury. Oh, jeez, man. They can't those guys can't catch a break lately. Just came back, and now he's injured again. That's terrible news. It is terrible news. So that being said, I gave our predictions. We kind of did a little more deep dive on the 3FNW show this week. I am sticking with my upset pick. I'm taking the Lucha House Party for reasons. I'm going to say Forgotten Sons just because they're kind of coming out of nowhere, at least for me. Mm-hmm. I watch NXT fairly regularly. I might miss an episode here or there. But to me, okay, they've been featured a little bit. They've had some big matches, but it's never been like, okay, go back and watch the NXT pay-per-views. They've never had a big match on a takeover. They've never really been in a main event that I can remember off the top of my head on an NXT. So it's kind of interesting that they're getting thrown in there. And okay, yeah, you can have the New Day and Miz and Morrison just trade the belt back and forth. But you've been doing that with New Day and the Usos or insert tag team, on SmackDown for the last year. I think Forgotten Sons, it's something new, it's something different. And they clearly and Vince clearly see something with Forgotten Sons that they're kind of getting this push that, hey, you've been on the main roster, quote unquote, or you've been on, SmackDown for what, like a month now? Not even. And you're already getting featured in a fairly prominent match on a pay-per-view. I think they're very high on them. And they've always done solid work in NXT. I think the closest main event I've seen them in was, I think they were part of a triple threat for the NXT TakeOver. Okay. When, for the Royal Rumble. It's like something comes to mind. But no pun intended, it was forgettable. Yeah. But I remember that they were in there. But each time they've been in, they've done solid work. Mm-hmm. So I'm not mad that they're getting the shot at this. Yeah. And I'm not saying they're not going to get the belts. But, I'm just looking at this and going, all right, we have another triple threat or fatal four-way for what? The umpteenth time? Yeah. Like, if they really want to try pushing something, give it to the Lucha House Party and just call it a day, and then you can really interject some kind of new blood into the title picture. Because if you're going to give it to the New Day, which I hope they don't, because I'm waiting for the break to happen, because I feel that that's doing with that whole hacker gimmick they got going on, the truth will be revealed. And now that's supposed to be a faction, and rumor has it might be Xavier Woods leading Ali and Chad Gable. Like, that whole story, like, if you believe everything you read on the internet right now about that, it's a mess. But the internet never lies. Oh, talk to AEW. Hey, so that being said, Lucha House Party for the win. Okay. Then you've got the SmackDown Women's Championship between Bayley defending her belt against Tamina. this is just a Band-Aid to get Bayley versus Sasha.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, like, Tamina, since they brought her back, has been very strong on SmackDown, but I just don't see her getting the belt. Bayley has been doing great work as a heel. I don't necessarily like that they're going to try forcing Bayley versus Sasha down our throats again.
Yeah.
And if so, give us a real program. Don't like do the frenemy thing. Do something real with it. So Bayley for this, but this is going to be...
It's going to be Bayley. I'm sure they're going to try and have a good match. I'm anticipating it not being a good match. And it's just, like you said, it's just a Band-Aid, and it's just, a little appetizer to tide us over until we get to the main course meal of Bayley versus Sasha.
Yeah.
After that, it is for the Universal Championship between Braun Strowman defending against Bray Wyatt.
Well, this one, I think, is all going to hinge on, is Roman Reigns coming back anytime soon?
I would not think so, based off of the fact that last night during Raw, they talked about Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 31. And if you go back and watch that footage, Seth runs down. You get the reaction from Michael Cole and JBL. Oh, my God, this is brilliant. He hands it to who the ref is. I want to say it might have been Kyoto. I can't remember. And, cash it in. He curb stomps Lesnar, cut to black, and then it's him holding the belt. They didn't mention Roman. They didn't say he was anywhere in that match, and they didn't show him pinning Roman to win that match.
Right.
So I get the feeling he's not coming back anytime soon.
So my pick for this is going to be, since Braun was the Band-Aid to fill in for Goldberg versus Roman, I mean, and he got the belt, that I think WWE's plans are eventually going to have Bray versus Roman. That is the goal at whenever Roman is going to come back. Obviously, he's staying home with his health issues. So unless he is planning on coming back sooner, I'm going to say Braun will retain if Roman is out longer. If Roman's coming back, Braun's dropping it, and Bray's winning the belt.
Okay.
So that's my pick.
I'm going to say Braun, but I think Roman won't be coming back anytime soon just because we look at the current situation with C19 and everything, and given Roman's medical history, not coming back anytime soon. I think we might get some shenanigans entailing just because, hey, WWE's known to do that. I think we could see Braun beat The Fiend and then come to find out after the match is over that it wasn't actually Bray, that it was some no-name person that for mystical, otherworldly reasons, psychic, voodoo, magic, whatever you want to say, that Bray mind-controlled this person or something like that, and that, it was just Bray acting through this person, but you never actually pinned Bray, so we got to go again.
That's a crazy theory, Pat.
I mean, listen.
I love it, though.
As wild as Bray is and as mystical and as wacky as he's getting with this, I wouldn't put anything past him.
Yeah. I mean, they can go a lot of different directions with it. I mean, ever since the Firefly Funhouse, I mean, just let Bray write whatever he wants.
Pretty much.
And let him go. So, like I say, for me, I'm sticking to my guns about that, but I love your take on that, though.
Yeah.
That'd be something to see.
After that, you've got for the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre defending his belt against Seth Rollins.
Well, this one I think is going to be a very fun match.
Oh, yeah.
I think
a little hard-hitting.
This will be very hard-hitting. This is what I think is going to really help this card out a lot. Drew McIntyre obviously has had the fairy tale ride coming back from 3MB land, being released, to now he is the world title holder, beating Brock Lesnar at Mania. I mean, everything, and he's looked extremely strong since. Seth Rollins has converted to the Monday Night Messiah. Obviously, though, due to injuries to his heel faction, it's kind of been on the wayside, even though he still has Murphy with him. This should be a very fun match. I do like Drew retaining.
Yeah.
I don't think he drops the belt. I don't think he's a 1 month and done. So I do expect McIntyre to go over, and obviously whoever wins the next match, I think is going to have a lot to deal with who Drew should be seeing next.
After that, you've got the women's Money in the Bank match with Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Carmella all participating.
Now, they've been doing qualifier matches since after Mania, so this has been the squad that has been picked. So, this being said, Pat, who you got?
Lord have mercy. I know the easy pick would be Shayna Baszler. Oh, she's going to usually go after Becky again. But I don't think so. I think it's going to be Asuka, and she's going to wait until after Sasha and Bayley have their match. Maybe it's SummerSlam if that's when it ends up happening. Because I get the feeling whenever that match happens, it's going to be long. It's going to be dragged out. It's going to be hard hitting. There's going to be that moment at the end of the match where whoever wins, is laying in the ring. Yeah, I got the belt, whatever. And that's when she'll cash in.
I'm taking Shayna Baszler on this one, but I would not be upset if Asuka won. Asuka has been on fire lately, and since they dropped the belts with her and Kairi Sane, has really stepped up her character. And I will say this, Nia Jax in this match kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I know that she has a tendency to not be so safe with, in certain cases with people. And I'm going to say this, if she is not safe with Shayna Baszler, this could get ugly real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying that right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that being said, though, I think this ultimately sets up for Baszler versus Lynch whenever they want to do that.
Sure.
So I think it's Shayna to win, but you know what? I would be very, very excited to see Asuka win, though.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to lie.
After that, you've got the men's Money in the Bank match with Daniel Bryan, Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, King Corbin, Otis, and AJ Styles all participating.
And we have to make note, too, AJ Styles just came back to fill in for Apollo Crews, who...
he came back to life.
Yeah.
Undertaker killed him.
Yeah, which he did explain, that, which I do love. He did not doubt the fact. He goes, yeah, I was buried alive, but I'm back. Like... Okay, we're not this now. So now apparently the Boneyard match is now in Continuum. So I love that. So looking at the field for this, AJ Styles is filling in for Apollo Crews, who may or may not be officially injured. I have not seen anything really official. So I'm hoping that this is a work, and I hope he comes back to defeat Andrade, just really adding to his storyline. If he really is hurt, I really hope he has a speedy and healthy recovery, because I do like to see him in the ring.
Oh, I do too, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was on a roll, but I think how they set it up, it just feels like they're doing a work for the storyline. So that being said, AJ won the gauntlet match last night on Monday Night Raw to get in. Kind of weird match of who is all involved and how it had played out, but AJ is now in the mix. So looking at the field here, Pad, who you got for this?
I know AJ's kind of, like I said with Shane, AJ's kind of the easy pick, but I'm going to say Dark Horse, Aleister Black. I think there's a lot of potential you could have with that, and you could have a lot of fun with him and kind of just his style being Money in the Bank briefcase holder.
All right, looking at the field, Daniel Bryan, I don't think needs it.
No.
Aleister Black is my pick to win. Rey Mysterio, I just don't think at this stage, and plus I hear his contract's running out very
I've heard
short.
rumblings of that
I've
too.
heard some rumblings too. I don't necessarily know they give it to him. King Corbin has had the belt.
He blew it. He blew his cash in once. Go look up the tape.
Yeah, so
don't let him forget about it. Tweet it at him.
Yeah, I don't think that he's going to get another run with it. And Otis, he
wouldn't surprise me.
But would you break him and Tucker Knight up on SmackDown like that?
When's the last time they had a tag team matchup together, though?
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, I don't necessarily know, but I like those guys as a tag team. But Otis is definitely breaking out right now. The whole Mandy Rose storyline. That has literally been the best storyline on SmackDown.
That's why I say as popular and as over as that whole storyline is, I'm thinking Aleister Black, but if it happens to be Otis and the clock hasn't struck midnight on Cinderella yet, it wouldn't surprise me.
Could you just imagine an Otis versus Bray Wyatt match?
I think you might have found the one person who wouldn't be afraid of any of his shenanigans.
Oh yeah, Otis, I just don't know how that would go over. Like, that would just be wild to me.
Yeah,
because both those guys can go.
Oh yeah,
and then you could just imagine Otis versus Braun, because I think Otis is one of the few guys on that roster who could body slam Braun with ease.
Yeah, well, him and then Keith Lee, obviously.
But Keith Lee is a whole different. The match he had with Damian Priest this week, if you have not seen it online, and the chop, and the shot put that he did, just do yourself a favor, watch NXT this past week, and you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But for my pick, though, I'm with you. Aleister Black is the one that's going to win this one. In my opinion, I fully think he's going to. Mm-hmm. It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Giving it to AJ, I wouldn't be super surprised, but I guess then my question would be, if he wasn't originally supposed to be part of this match, was that going to be like Apollo Crews was going to win?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they're just changing on the fly there. Which, if like I said, if Apollo had won, I would be shocked, but I'd be very happy.
Yeah,
because I think he's very underrated. So I definitely see Aleister Black winning, and in fact, I'll even throw this prediction at you. I think Drew has the belt and he runs with it.
Okay.
And then he has Brock reappear. Mm-hmm. Brock beats Drew. Aleister Black cashes in and gives Brock the Black Mass.
Say the only thing hinging on that, though, is them being back in live crowds, because the thing I read with Brock is you're not going to see him again until they're back in arenas in front of people.
Right. But if he comes in the black mass in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Because you can hold on to it until they finally get a crowd in there.
Yeah.
Imagine that pop. If he knocks out Brock.
Yeah, it could be. Didn't Alistair beat Drew no, that was Andrade.
Yeah, Andrade
beat him in NXT. Never mind. That throws my thought out the window. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I say. Andrade is still lurking around, and that's why I thought like if Andrade had if Cruz had defeated Andrade, he would have got him. But like there's so many different storylines now with the Cruz injury angle that's a domino effect. It's going to be really hard to see. But I fully see Aleister Black winning Black Mass all day to hit that shot, and it's a wrap after that.
Oh yeah.
We're going to find out on Sunday. Money in the Bank is going to be on the WWE Network, as we said. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH, and hit up at Coach Duffy11 on Twitter. He has some predictions for this card. He definitely wants to interact with you about that. And for more wrestling content, head on over to the 3 Fat Nerds Podcast Network. Check out The Wrestling Show I co-host with Rich from 3FN. We deep dive into this card and a ton of other wrestling content this week, so you definitely don't want to miss it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sunny Hepburn.
And I'm Brandy Fleeks.
And this is
Book of Lies,
the podcast, where we discuss liars, cheats, and thieves,
scammers, and dirty, rotten scoundrels.
So tune in for new episodes every Tuesday to hear about another low-down dirty liar.
And learn how to spot them.
So that's Book of Lies podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast player or on Twitter at Book of Lies Pod, on Instagram at Book of Lies Podcast, and on Facebook at Book of Lies Podcast.
And if you want to send us an email, send us one at bookofliespodcast@gmail.com.
Okay?
Bye-bye!
Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And Pad, we actually have some local news to a degree to talk about.
Kind of, sort of.
So it was announced just over the past few days that the Syracuse Stallions, longtime rivals of the Binghamton Bulldogs in the ABA, are leaving and are set to join the basketball league. So to read the press release from Spectrum Local News and John Johnson writing, the Syracuse Stallions are testing themselves against stiffer competition after dominating the ABA for the past 2 seasons. Syracuse is joining the 14-team Premier the Basketball League. The TBL competitions is considered a step up from the ABA. So, that being said, how are you feeling about the Bulldogs now losing their biggest rival?
A little surprising to say the least. I mean, it's a little different than dealing with kind of like the minor leagues with hockey or minor league baseball, where, I'm not really used to teams leaving and joining another league. I mean, yeah, I'm used to, the organization leaving the town, like when the Senators left us and the Devils stepped in. It's kind of different for like just an entire team that's not really affiliated with anybody to go, yeah, we're not going to play there anymore. A little weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Definitely was a surprise. I caught Coach Duffy and myself off guard. But for Syracuse to leave, I mean, it's just so weird. It's just like for us locally, it's like the Red Sox leaving the divisions from the Yankees.
I'll say all I can think of is they wrote checks their butts couldn't cash.
Yeah.
Talked all that crap last year, and then what happened?
Well, last year was some definite trash talk all through social media about this. So for more information on the Syracuse Stallions, we'll give them a shout-out because they have actually been retweeting us a little bit on a few things. At Q Stallions, that's spelled CUSE Stallions. And for where they're going, at TBL Pro League.
Okay.
So for more information on what Syracuse Stallions are doing. But if you want to find out everything going on with the Binghamton Bulldogs, and I know they're making an extreme push for their Facebook page, facebook.com/the Binghamton Bulldogs or just binghamtonbulldogs.com. So let us get into the rounding of the bases, or shall we say it's the 2-minute drill. Maybe we'll have to switch it because we are going to start talking The Last Dance.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So good.
Where do we begin? We are talking spoilers if you have not seen episodes 5 and 6. So, Pad, 3, 2, 1. What you got?
Really enjoyed episode 5. We'll start with that one. Love the kind of little memorial tribute thing without being a memorial or tribute they had for Kobe. They showed, obviously, the footage from them playing against each other in the 1998 All-Star game that took place in Madison Square Garden. And, because at that point, there had been nobody really that emphasized Jordan's kind of work standard or just the way he did things like Kobe did. There hadn't been anybody that kind of like even come close to him. So to see that them kind of going up against each other in the trash talk, and even Mike ribbing him pregame in the locker room and basically going, just telling him that, quote, that little Laker boy is going to take everybody one-on-one. He doesn't let the game come to him. He thinks I'm going to make this, bleep happen. I'm going to make this a one-on-one game. It was funny to see him ribbing that, like, as much respect and love as they have for each other now that that we've seen for years. It's fun to see the kind of like ribbing and just kind of like, trash talking side of the two of them.
Yeah, to see obviously the big brother, little brother mentality they had, and it's definitely bittersweet seeing the Kobe footage and just, obviously dealing with the fact Kobe's not there, and we unfortunately don't get to hear his intake on the documentary. It's just to see their greatness and just like how they recognized each other's game and made each other step it up too. It was truly remarkable to see.
Yeah, and I liked the little bit Kobe said, they had Kobe say during the thing where they talked about him. They asked Kobe about Jordan. He goes, he's like my big brother. He picked his brain about everything, and including Jordan's signature turnaround jumper. And he said, and I think I ever remember hearing him ever say this, but I know you always heard the discussions, who's better, Kobe, Jordan, Jordan, Kobe, and even when LeBron came along, you threw LeBron in that conversation. Kobe said, I truly hate having discussions about who would win one-on-one. What you get from me is from him. I don't get 5 championships without him. He's guided me so much and gave me so much great advice. And I just like that about him. They're like, okay, as much fun as it is to have those conversations, he's right. If Jordan doesn't come along and just kind of instill and show that drive that Kobe came to just, show so much of and even surpass, I think, in some instances, we wouldn't have had Kobe as he is.
No,
I should say.
We definitely not. I mean, Jordan set the blueprint. And the one thing that this documentary is teaching you is he is the ultimate competitor.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking with Rich from 3FN about this off air too, and he was saying Jordan is the ultimate master of his craft. Like you say, like the perfect employee. If his job is basketball, there was nobody better.
Oh yeah.
And you see that just from the mentality he displayed. Like the original Mamba mentality came from him, not Kobe.
Yeah.
But Jordan just turned it up a gear, and to see the influence on him and see where Kobe took that mentality and ran with. And now where the NBA, you're starting to see that with other players now too. It's just a certain gear that kicks in.
And you can totally tell he kind of got that influence and that kind of gear from Jordan, because you think back to the NBA Finals against the Trailblazers that they show in this episode, where all the discussion and all the foil to Michael Jordan was Clyde Drexler. And, is Mike going to be able to beat Clyde? Is he going to be able to hang with Clyde? What did he do game 1? Open with like 6 3-pointers.
Yep, and he did the original shoulder shrug. That, to see that live, and I remember watching that as a young kid, I was blown away because, when you start hearing the ESPNs and all the sports media, I mean, it wasn't as crazy as it is now, but that's all you were hearing. It was set up like a big boxing match.
Yeah.
Like, okay, how's he going to match up? And Jordan came out the gate just like a man possessed. And right then and there, you knew the game was done.
Yep.
Like, that is just how dominant he could be. But it goes back to the fact that Jordan is just such an intense competitor.
Oh, yeah.
That if you tell him he can't do something, he's going to go out of his way to prove you wrong. It's like a borderline obsession / pettiness.
Yeah.
But my God, like, he does it with such grace. And then he's not shy about telling you after, you caused this.
Oh yeah,
these are your actions.
It's like, I forget who the player was. It was like a CP3 or somebody had a basketball camp and they invited Mike, and Mike came along. And there was an instance,
I think it was Chris Paul,
where there was an instance where Chris Paul made a bet with Jordan, and after seeing these episodes now, that was his great failure in this, was he made a bet with Jordan where he goes, if you make all 5 of these shots, basically I think it was like an around the world type of thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything, but you miss one, you got to donate shoes to all these kids here. And there had to be like 200, 300.
Oh, yeah, there's about 200 plus.
200 plus kids in that audience. And I think any other person, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, LeBron, Carmelo, Dame Lillard, like name your basketball player from like the last 60 years. They'd have gone along and maybe at the last one deliberately missed it. Mike, cool and cold as ever, made every shot because that was Mike.
Yeah, that was Mike to the letter. I mean, he was the ultimate competitor, and this documentary series is just dissecting that so much that even when it's a small thing, such as playing quarters against the security staff.
Oh, my God.
Which is hysterical
Oh,
to
my God.
see.
I was in tears laughing.
Yeah, because they're just throwing quarters against the wall to see who can get closest. And the one security guard is beating Mike so bad, he actually hits him with the shoulder shrug.
He took money from Mike.
He took money from Mike. And you just see how Mike was kept going, and he's just eventually like, all right, I'm going to let go. But you see how that was even driving Mike at such a small level.
As competitive as he was getting about it, I'm like, dude, you're taking this like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You're tossing quarters against the wall. Like, I can get joking about it and being like a little jokingly serious about it, but holy crap.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely wild to see, but it goes down to his playing days. I mean, just to even see just a level of competitiveness and how much, if he wants to prove a point, he's going to do that. Look no further than when they dissected the Tony Kukoc.
Oh, my God.
Ordeal when he was supposed to be coming over.
Yeah, of course, they then get into a little bit of the Dream Team and their run in the Olympics in '92, I believe it was, where, you know, it was basically all the best players in the NBA at that point, and they were just putting up points on points on points. And they get to the early round matchup against, who was it, Croatia?
Yeah.
Croatia, and, you know, Croatia's got this kid that Jerry Krause drafted and wanted to bring him.
He was in love with.
He was in love with him and wanted to bring him over. He's the next big thing, Tony Kukoc. And it was all and everyone's like, all right, who's going to cover this Kukoc kid? And Scotty and Jordan, who were on the team, were like, yeah, we got this. We're going to trade this off. I get him the first half. You get him the first half. I think if I remember the documentary right, he got to halftime and had like 4 points.
Yeah.
And I remember another documentary, I think ESPN did something, where they interviewed Tony about it, and Tony said his teammates, you know, at one point when he sat down on the bench, his teammates looked at him and went, dude, what did you do to Jordan to piss him off?
Well, that was just going back to the feud he had with Jerry Krause. And just like, how Krause is looking in this is absolutely awful.
Yeah.
But Jordan is not doing any favors to himself. But then again, if you remember his Hall of Fame speech, he was taking shots then.
Oh, yeah.
But that's how he was. I mean, he's not afraid to go after somebody when he feels he's gotten the best hand on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the competitive nature in him. And he does like to talk that trash, but you know what? He's so good he can back it up.
Oh, yeah, he can. Absolutely.
And that's the wild thing about it. So to see the whole Kukoc story play out, and then just obviously he's never let Jerry Krause live it down.
Well, no, and even Scotty, you know, once the dust had finally settled on everything, Jordan and Scotty both seemed to agree. You know, everything we did for Kukoc was kind of just against Krause. Pippen even going as far as to say, you know, in a separate interview, quote, Jerry paved the way for a lot of hell for Tony Kukoc. We were going to do everything we could to make Jerry look bad.
Yeah, and they completely went out of their way to do it. And like I said, this documentary is definitely tainting his legacy even worse, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, and no, admittedly, Kukoc did better in the gold medal game against USA, but still, damage had been done by that point.
Right, which, I mean, Michael even said, too. I mean, they owned up to it, and he said he's a great guy, he's a great teammate, so it was almost like the trial by fire with him, to see if he could hang, and they obviously proved that, no, Krause was wrong in his evaluation of him, but he was still a great player.
Yeah.
It just goes back to just show just how Michael could take over and become a larger-than-life person if he wanted to be. And then one thing I really love to see about the documentary, too, is when they start going through when he became Michael Jordan, like with the endorsements.
Yeah.
And breaking down, even when he was at the Olympics, he's just signed that deal with Nike.
Right.
Which, I mean, at the time we were talking off air about, Nike at that time was just a running shoe company.
Yeah, they were an upstart that was only really known for a running shoe company. And, of course, at the time, the NBA had a deal, or, you know, Converse was the official shoe of the NBA, and Jordan didn't want to be with the crowd. He didn't want to, you know, be just another one of the guys. He wanted his own thing. And he did, and this was kind of the interesting thing for me, and I'm not sure a lot of people knew about this. I didn't. He almost went with Adidas. He wanted to go with Adidas. He didn't want to go with Nike.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
To think, just, I mean, how crazy the shoe game is now.
Yeah.
And to see if you imagine just a different time period he signed with Adidas.
It would have been wild. And of course, then he signed with Nike. And then they said in the documentary, Jordan's agent said that like in the first year, they were projected to do. Nike had an initial goal of $3 million in sales over 4 years. They did $126 million in 1 year.
Well, it showed the star power of him, that he became such a larger-than-life personality. And it's just one thing about recognizing greatness when you see it. And for fans, he definitely kept himself very professional on screen and on the court. And I mean, he was definitely involved enough where he was doing those commercials, like the Gatorade commercials, like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
Yeah.
And just how that took over, and just everything he was connecting himself with turned to gold. It was just truly remarkable to see in that time frame, just of how his celebrity was and how he kept himself so focused on the game.
And even, to the point where his agent was starting to do this. This hadn't been done for a basketball player ever, ever.
Never.
It had been done for golfers and tennis players, and they even interviewed somebody from the Bulls front office who remembered saying to him, "Are you trying to make this guy into a tennis player?"
Yeah, because he just transcended the sport. He almost became the logo before the logo was. I mean, just like, I know it's always been Jerry West, but Jordan's image is just doing the Air Jordan dunk.
Yeah,
is just so synonymous with basketball and the NBA and just that time period.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you just seeing how it's translated at that time with the footage too is just wild to see. Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So this whole documentary has just been absolutely crazy, and I know that the preview going into next week is about baseball.
Yeah, no, his because that was the interesting thing at the end was I never fully understood or got why he left basketball. I know he did, and I know he tried baseball, and I know it flew like a lead balloon. But I never fully got like why. You're at the apex of your game, you're the best player in the world, you're winning champion. Why would you walk away? But to finally get it broken down, and for me, I grew up when Jordan was around, but I wasn't watching sports when he played. So I never really got to see it. But to see, like he said in the documentary, in the footage from '98, where he gets up and he can't even go out to breakfast without getting mobbed by people. Goes to the game, mobbed by people. Post game, mobbed by press. Leave the arena, mobbed by fans. Get on the bus to go back to the hotel if they're traveling. Gets to the hotel, mobbed by people. So it's like literally the only place he could go was the four walls of his hotel room if he's traveling on the road. And just to see, just like, even for me, that was kind of like, okay, this is uncomfortable. This kind of sucks. It was very eye-opening for me.
Well, it's the high price of fame.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, it's the downside when everybody's like, oh, I want to be rich and famous. This is what you have to deal with. Your privacy and your daily life is so drastically changed. And this is before the era of TMZ and paparazzi too.
Oh yeah.
Like, you have to take a step back and think now with like LeBron or even Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Or take a look at the current players in the NBA and just how much media scrutiny they get. Can you imagine if it was Michael Jordan was playing in this era with that media scrutiny? Like,
it'd be something.
It'd be so intense. Like, you have to just completely applaud like LeBron and Steph Curry and how they're handling it, because there's always a camera there, and like how Michael handled it, I think also set a blueprint too. Yeah, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I mean, just another thing to his greatness that we get to see firsthand. I mean, the documentary has been so excellent, so good. I'm almost sad it's going to be ending soon.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what else can you really show that hasn't been done? I mean, when they win the title and then that's it, and then you see the team dissolve.
Yep.
That's going to be a very, very sad episode.
Oh, yeah.
But we get to see that here in the States on Sunday nights starting 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I believe it's on Netflix internationally.
Yep.
So check your local listings. Get caught up on that. Hit us up on that hashtag, too. Hashtag ODPH. We need to have more Last Dance discussion. I know Joey from So Wizard did it for this Patreon. Just Joey. Congratulations to them, too. 300th episode dropped today.
No, congratulations.
So I know that they've been talking about it. I know Coach Duffy has been talking about it with us in our group chat. We got to have a little more public Twitter discussion about this. So all of our ODPH Society members, please interact about this. We definitely want to keep this conversation going. So that being said, the music you heard on this edition of the ODPH to kick off the show with is Fair City Fire. But one thing we're going to start doing is we have so many great bands, we want to try doing a little feature each and every week. So we're picking a band to close out the show for both shows during the week. And this week is Second Suitor. They just had their super duper EP drop. And the song we're going to be closing with is One Winged Angel. It's kind of fitting for the wrestling. Obviously, they're talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling and so much other good stuff. Their album is right now on Bandcamp, and I believe that this Friday it's dropping on Apple Music and Spotify, amongst other players.
Cool.
So if you haven't picked it up yet, go get it. Support them. They're super great guys. Tyler has been on the show a few times. We can't say support them enough. So you're going to be finding out more about them. But how do you get there, you ask? Simple. Swing on over to OchoDuroParlayHour.com. Hit up the music section. You can find out about them. You can find out about Yard Party. You can find out about Shout of the Robots. You can find out about Floodlands. You can find out about Tom Jolu. So much great music that you can hear on the ODPH. You can just go download yourself, become a fan, and spread the word about them as well. Also, over on OchoDuroParlayHour.com, you can check out the ODPH directory where we have links to friends of the show, such as Tom from Off the Cuff Gaming, still doing that Final Fantasy VII remake pad.
Cool.
And we also have links to Excite Wrestling, who we're expecting maybe we'll kind of hear some news slowly but surely leaking out about them. I know they got the YouTube page going on right now, but we might be hearing some stuff coming down the pike. I'm not saying I know anything because I don't, even though I've been told that I'm a mysterious owner of Excite Wrestling. If you listen to
Supposedly.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I have to kind of do a little more digging about that. But who's been talking about that? Well, that's simple. That's 8122 Productions. And that's Rich Ron and hashtag Big Natty Cool. Still on Twitter, Pad.
Oh, boy.
Still hasn't been thrown off because he's still bringing that heat each and every time he tweets Diesel. And you can find out about everything going on with the Three Fat Nerds podcast. You can find out about Horror Zone 607. Shout out to Mike C. And you can find out about their Patreon as well. Patreon.com/8122 Productions. I believe there's a new episode of I Love Movies coming out by Ron, who's giving that real talk about movies, Pat.
Oh, boy.
So I haven't got any spoilers about that yet. And you can also hear the hottest show behind a paywall with the highest... well, actually, no, I was informed that I should not be talking about the other... they have not finalized the other tier plan.
Oh, good.
Just yet.
Good.
So we will just keep that to ourselves. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on with Love is Scary and hashtag Big Natty Cool... hashtag the Doctor of Loveonomics Diesel that we just won't get into. But if you want to find out more about that, hit up the 3FN network and hit up patreon.com/8122 Productions. They have got so much going on that we can't talk about because Rich has asked us not to. And a few other providers have told us not to as well. So let's adhere those wishes. And still on the ODPH directory, you can hear all the great podcasting lists that we are on. You can go interact with them yourselves. So you can check out Pod Nation. You can check out Legion of Independent Podcasts. You can check out Alternate Reality Radio. And you can check out the Apocalypse Community along with hashtag 607 Podcasts. All the Podchaser lists are there, so go check out all the great pods you hear on there. You can go rate, subscribe, download, everything you need to do. There's so many great pods we're so proud to be associated with. You can find out all there on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. And you can find out about live stream for The Cure. Now, Pad, there's a little bit of an update.
Uh-oh.
So we'll give this to you. So we have links right now on the front page for the event and early donations. Why do we have one for early donations? Well, one, please, if you can donate right now to Cancer Research Institute, is greatly appreciated. But what we are announcing this week via Off the Cuff Gaming, Three Fat Nerds Podcast Network, and ourselves, we have announced, obviously, that we're going to be on Sunday, May 31st, twitch.tv/epicfilmguys, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And we were talking about the worst video game films ever and what games should have been made into films. What we are saying is we are challenging you, the ODPH Society, to make an early donation, and when you do, shoot us the image that you did, and shoot us your picks for the worst video game film and which one should have been made, and we will shout you out and read your picks on air during that time period. Also, any hashtag 607 podcast merchandise that Rich is going to be selling through a122productions.com, all the proceeds from now until May 27th are going to be going directly to Livestream for the Cure. So that way we're doing our extra bit to help raise some money. And if you want to do any donations, like I said, we have the links right on the front page for the Livestream for the Cure. So please go check it out. It's an amazing event. We're very honored and humbled to be a part of this. And there's going to be so many great content creators going to be starting May 27th through May 31st on twitch.tv/epicfilmguys. So please share the event. Please donate if you can. I know with the C-19 going on right now, everything's a little tight, but if you can, please share and donate if you can. It really makes a difference, and we can kick cancer's ass together. All of that is on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. Pad, that is all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. See you next time.
Take my hand. We could order Chinese food, get high, and then watch New Japan. Rainmaker, my heart so damn hard I can no longer stand in this room. that she's walking towards me. A smile I see, connect from the top ropes. 1, 2, 3.